Inside Leominster is brought to you through the generous support of Colonial Insulation Company, residential and commercial insulation and fireproofing services, specializing in blown-in cellulose as well as spray foam insulation. For more information, visit their website, colonialinsulation.com.
Welcome to Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarella, Mayor for the city, and I was just looking through my emails in case there was anything important to share with you tonight. But we're live as we are each and every Thursday night. We try to get together with you, talk about what's important to you. And maybe you might not call, but we always ask for input. So during the week, we look through our emails and we look through our text and feedback from social media, and we listen. We listen to those conversations we're having with you, and then we put our agenda together about what you might like to hear or see, and hopefully, and it sounds like it, we're out a number of different places this time of year, and nice visits, but we're able to chat with people who watch the show, and say we seem to answer all the questions that circulate they're in a group, so that's a good thing. We do have a phone number. It hasn't changed. It's the lucky number. It's 978-537-7760, extension 3, and that puts us in touch with each other. We also, you can catch us streaming. Go to leominster.tv, and it'll tell you how to do that. And you can also watch from the website or from Facebook. So all of that you can get through leominster.tv. So we stream out. If you're watching tonight, you're watching from far away, give us a buzz or email us and let us know where you're watching from, or listening in some cases. Anyway, we're going to go right down, and I mean right down because we'll start at the top of Day Street, and the heavy rains we've had today, we'll get our little pink flamingo rowboat, and we'll row down to the very bottom of the hill, right on the Leominster-Lunenburg line, and we'll head in for the out report.
You're going to need a yacht, not a boat. Isn't this weather something?
I don't know, but I cannot subdue my craving for ice cream, regardless of the weather. In fact,
I agree.
In fact, less people will be out when it's raining.
This is true. It gives you more time to look at the menu without inconveniencing anybody.
That's right. When you get, exactly. But on those warm nights, you've got those long lines, and it's just nice to be able to walk up to the window and, like you said, look through the menu.
Well, I'll tell you, with the rain and the sun, looks like a banner year for figs. Our fig tree.
Yeah, I saw.
Got the biggest leaves going.
And you know what they say? You know what they say? It never rains in Southern California.
Well, there you go. They pump it in.
We keep talking about these heavy rains. People keep asking me, what happened down at the landfill? What's that equipment doing there? Well, we had a washout from these heavy rains, these short-term, heavy, drenching rain, and it's got nowhere to run out. It can't sink into the ground like it's engineered. So you have these washouts, and they had to go back to the beginning part of Upper Mechanic Street, Old Mechanic Street, I guess as they say, and work to try to retain the water into some stone, which slows it down a little bit. Yep. And so they're at the very end of the project now, but the velocity, the power of that water is unstoppable. So
it's unbelievable.
I've heard from people that never had water in their basement or never had a problem in their driveway or their yard or water going in the garage. And I got to tell you, I was in a particular town a week ago, and I noticed in their downtown there were sandbags against all the most of the storefronts.
There you go.
And I asked, I said, what are these, why are these here? And they said, we've had such heavy rains that we've never had before that we have to keep these handy to stop the water from coming in, or it'll go right through the front door.
Well, it's funny how water works. I had this area of my lawn for years that it would always gather water, but nothing like we had. And what happened was it literally killed off my lawn, this particular section. So I reseeded it, mixed it with some loam and reseeded it, and just tamped it down with my tractor. I have never seen a new lawn come in so fast in my life. It's beautiful.
No, that's
because of this off and on rain, slow, misty type stuff, and then the sun. It's been good for that. But I paint. I can't imagine the landscapers.
It's good for. Well, I could just tell you, in my business, it's been terrible. I mean, you just can't get it. You can't get out to where you're working, and you know, even for our crews, it's been difficult for them to get out there and plant. It's good to water the flowers,
mix up the cement for the flagpole, etc. I mean, I can understand that. I'll tell you.
I remember when my kids were young. It rained. Had to have been just like this. It rained and rained, and we had just bought our first camper. And I remember we were up in Old Orchard, and it just poured. And there were, you know, it was just a cycle, like an El Nino kind of thing, where they just, you know, you get a couple nice days, and then it pours. So I don't know what the outlook is, but I was happy to wake up this morning, and I don't care if it was raindrops, birds, dark, light, didn't matter to me. I was happy to get up.
Like all the old poops that I golf with every morning up in Gardner say, it's good to be on this side of the sod.
Yeah, sure it is. And
that's all there is to it.
I don't mind the rain at all, and so you get your feet wet. And the nice thing about rain is it's clean.
Exactly.
So it doesn't stain your shirt. Really doesn't stain anything, right, for the most part?
No.
Unless you get it in your sheetrock. But so other than that, it never rains in Southern. That's why they wrote that song. It never rains in Southern California.
And I don't keep track of the time or the day. I'll be damned. I couldn't believe it's June 6/20. I goes, what?
Yes.
It seems like just the other day I mentioned to somebody golfing, well, today's the first day of June. Boy, I don't know what happened in the last 20 days.
We had the DAV veterans. They come from around the state, actually New England, and they meet at the Doubletree every year. And I saw it on the schedule, and I said, "There's no way. We were just there." And it's another year's gone by.
Time's flying. I remember my wife had her late uncle. He was pushing 90, and he said, "Do you think the days go by fast now?" When I was like in my 40s, and I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Where you get to my age?" I swear they're right. The older you get, the faster they seem to go by. Having said that, I will say keep dry, and it's a rainy night in Georgia.
It is, and we just keep plugging. The downtown looks great. The streets are clean. We've got just about every street done. They're starting the new sidewalks.
I have to discipline myself not to look too much because I'm driving it so beautiful.
Yes, we talked with some folks that were out here upgrading the computer system, working on the computer system at Simon's in Fitchburg, and they were from Oregon and Portland area, and they were just couldn't talk up Leominster enough. They couldn't. They were so thrilled. They just kept their cameras just kept flicking. They loved the architecture of the buildings, the churches downtown. They just, that New England look. You get that feel when you're downtown that I'm in a little small New England town, and maybe it's not what it was in the 60s or the 50s when, there weren't the big, giant department stores and strip malls and all of that. But it's coming back. Let me tell you, downtown is coming back. It's work in progress always. The recession hurt us. We were making great strides, and the recession hurt us. We had over 50% vacancy, but it's coming back. It looks great. The public is supportive of it. We've got some new businesses and restaurants opening in the downtown.
Well,
it's not just.
It's getting better and better, and the new idea you've got coming up about making some changes downtown for the good of the city and the town and the proprietors of the businesses. It's only going to get better, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we're all about the fun. We got a good team, and when you got a good team, you can get anything done.
In And thank you so much for the kind comments on the grandparents.
Well,
we appreciate
yeah,
that.
I hope they know what great grandparents they have, right?
Well,
I mean, that's
thank
how.
God for the Boy Scouts and my daughter's swimming lessons, because a month ago they were on a Boy Scout trip on Winnipesaukee, and they were going to canoe to an island and sleep over, the whole troop. Mm-hmm. And my grandson's canoe capsized.
Oh, no.
They caught a wave.
Whew.
But he could swim, his dad could swim, and they happened to be a bunch of boats out. Some boats come by and got them.
Wow.
And make a long story short, they made everybody go back to shore, and people shuttled them via boat to the island. No more canoes.
No.
I mean, it's like the ocean, for God's sake.
It is. And
They
it's
lost some swimming poles and other stuff, but everything was fine. And
oh, good. Oof.
he learned a lesson.
That's a tough phone call to get, huh?
You know, God is my witness. I told my wife before they left, I said, I don't like the idea. I know it's not a long canoe ride. I don't like the idea of being on a canoe on Winnipesaukee. It just doesn't feel right.
Right.
And then they tell me, guess what happened? I said, oh, Jesus.
Just get that gut feeling.
But they laugh about it now, but they didn't then.
I suggest a strawberry sundae with mocha chip ice cream.
Without a question. Without a question. Well, we said to him, we're joking with him. His birthday's this month.
It is, yeah.
I said, Matthew, my wife calls up. She says, what would you like for your birthday? An Xbox, a gift card, maybe $100 worth. I says, Matthew, my first car cost me $25.
I am getting, my son notified me that I'm getting my first electric start in my vehicle this year.
There you go.
See that? I waited.
Yep.
Do you know I didn't have air conditioning until, let me see. Well,
What's next, a helicopter?
2007. 2008 is the first time I had air conditioning in my vehicle. In my vehicle.
I don't have it.
In my vehicle. I never missed it, but now that I have it, it's I'm going to have to, I don't think
no more cold seats.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay, buddy.
All right, buddy.
See you later.
All
Thanks
right.
again. Bye-bye.
Hey, one more thing.
Yeah.
I was listening to this old radio show the other day. And so the guy said, I don't understand it. I forget what the show was. He said, I don't understand it. He says, when people live in little towns, all they want to do is make enough money to move to the city. And when people live in the city, all they want to do is make enough money to move to the little towns.
Yeah.
Isn't that a classic?
It is, and it's true.
It is. It is.
God Almighty! I was watching. What was I was watching the regular news the other night, and this young lady with her baby. It showed her coming out with her rubbish in Boston because they got some issues around rubbish, and it was a city street with a high rise, and I'm saying, no way, I couldn't live like that. But some people like it.
A couple of friends were invited. A bunch of people I know were invited to the casino in Everett. And it went down for the sort of sneak preview, and they said it was quite something. And I was at my MassDOT meeting on Monday, and they were talking about how they're going to move 50,000 people in and out of there every day. And I don't know if you've been down there, but you can't move on Route 16.
Oh, I can't wait to hear the reports. They're telling people don't drive here.
So right. So I said, don't worry, you've scared everybody away. Nobody will be. You scared everybody away. So I don't expect a huge problem down there because. I don't know if you've ever gone into like where Home Depot is, and there's a bunch of retail stores right on that road, and you have to go. It's got this giant.
I don't get it.
Oh,
I know one thing. If you've got to walk a long distance to your car and you hit a small jackpot, you better keep looking over your shoulder.
Well,
they call people that prey on people that win at the casino counters.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was being paid $1,200 one day. And I looked up, and there were three guys about 50 feet away, and the one in the middle was moving his head up and down, and he was counting with the counter. The casino person was giving me hundreds, 1, 2, 3 up. And they gave me all the money, and the gentleman says, where are you going next? I said, I'm going to find my wife. He said, we'll go with you. And he says, we have an issue. And I said, I noticed these people were watching. He says, those are called counters. We're going to escort them off the premises.
Right.
But had you left and we had not noticed, they would have followed you until you either got on the elevator or went outside, and they would have relieved you of this $1,200.
Well, I'm not a gambler. I will at some point walk through the building I will not spend a cent on any of the machines, but I'd like to just take it in and see the landscaping and the flow of the building and people watch.
They got a carving or a painting of Popeye that's worth $18 million. Go figure that one out. I don't get it.
Well, I'll talk to you next week.
There you go.
All right.
See you later.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
That was the art report. We got a little long-winded today, but we had a lot to say on this rainy Thursday night. Inside Leominster is the name of the show. Dean Mazzarella is my name. We're going to take a short break, and when we'll be back, we have a guest, and then we'll be catching up on a ton of things that we got to talk about. All right, the emails are coming through. Who's that? That's Mike the Hot Dog Man. And if you're new to town and you never were exposed to Mike the Hot Dog Man's show, he didn't just sell hot dogs, as you could see. He was a legend in town, and every single hot dog was a masterpiece. And so for those of you who are watching thinking, who's that guy? That's Mike the Hot Dog. He would park himself over what is now TD Bank, right out front, right in that area. He would roll his cart down the street. Does anybody know where he used to store his cart? How's that for a trivia question? And then he would roll himself down. He would spend a few hours prepping everything. And again, every single move, it was like a symphony. And at the end, the hot dog, magnificent. Carl, do you know was that Vinny Bisceglia? Carl? Oh, I have so many. Yes, something had to be censored. I'm sorry. But it did. Was that Vinny Bisceglia? Carl?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, that was Vinny.
That was Vinny Bisceglia. And who was the young lady at the very beginning? Do you know her?
I can't remember her name.
She
Jack
looks-
would know.
Jack knows?
We'll see if Jack will text me.
She
might
looks
remember.
familiar.
Yeah, she is. Yep.
Anyway, anybody that's been, that was here, you know what I'm talking about. If you weren't, well, that's Mike the Hot Dog Man. And my guest is Stephanie Fattman. She's the Registrar of Probate in the city of Leominster. And I'm happy to have you here tonight because there is so much that the Registrar of Probate office can do to help today. It's becoming more and more vital, no pun intended, but it's becoming more and more critical to get those services out to the community.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me
Thank
here
you for
tonight.
coming on the
I'm
show.
excited
Thanks
to
for
be
waiting.
here.
I know you've been here a while, and we got a little carried away tonight. A
It's
little
an exciting
nostalgic.
show. You had a lot going on.
Well, it's a little nostalgic tonight. I don't know why. I guess everybody's got that little nostalgic bug into them, and
That's good.
rightfully so.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
So anyway, you were elected 2014,
I was.
and you were the first woman elected to the position in
Yes.
Worcester County.
Yes.
You went to BU and graduated from Suffolk University Law.
Yeah.
You live in southern Worcester County. What do you mean southern Worcester County?
I live in
It's all the
Sutton.
same. It's Worcester County.
Worcester County.
If you were in
Worcester
Texas,
County's very big. Let
I know,
me
but
tell
if you were in like Texas, you'd have some explaining to do here. But it's not that far.
It's not too far.
All right. If it took you more, if it took you less than 45 minutes to get here, no big deal.
Took me about that. Yes. No big deal.
So it's no big deal.
Yes.
But if you lived like down at P-Town, or you lived past like what's the town, Lee and Stockbridge,
Yeah.
that's
That's
we have to
far.
have another conversation about
All
that.
right. Fair enough.
Anyway, tell us. I mean, so people might think, and I know when you were
Yeah.
campaigning, you had a lot of explaining to do because people would be like, "Oh, Stephanie, I saw your picture up on one of those billboards and coming through 190,
Yeah.
290. What do you do?"
Yes, it's a very unique position. So thank you for having me here tonight. Again, I'm Stephanie Fattman. I'm the Registrar of Probate for the Probate and Family Court. And as Registrar, I oversee all of the documents that come through the Probate and Family Court. And it's such a unique position because while it's not as well known as some other elected positions, it's so crucial because the work we do directly impacts what's most important to you, and that's your family.
Right.
And so we oversee divorces, child custody, guardianships, probating an estate of a loved one who's passed away. And in my position, I serve all 60 cities and towns of Worcester
know.
County. That's why I think
Right.
it's so big. There's
It
quite
is.
a lot of geography to cover, and there's about 800,000 people in Worcester County.
Wow,
we
that's
actually
amazing.
we handle about 800,000 cases through our court, and we're the second busiest court in the state. So we have a lot of volume, a very busy court. And my job is to oversee all of the records and all of the documents that come through that court and ensure that we're serving the public and making sure that the court process is working well for the community.
So tell me some of the things that the Office of Probate can do that are any cost. So say I'm interested in doing, doing some probate. I don't have a whole lot of money, but I'd like to make sure I can, there's, maybe I don't want to hire an attorney or somebody, right? I just, hey, I want to do it myself, right?
Our court in particular sees a large draw of litigants that are representing pro se, meaning they're not bringing in an attorney and they're representing themselves. And so we see that is a trend in the court system.
Really?
And so while
Nothing against attorneys or people that do financial planning.
I'm
or
an
anything.
attorney, and we work hard to service our attorneys
Sure.
and make sure that they feel as though the court system's working for them. But I'm very aware of people coming into the system that do not have an attorney. And so one of our big goals is just customer service and information.
Right.
We can't give legal advice in the probate and family court, but we can give information.
Forms and help them out, right?
And
so
so
somebody comes in and says, look, I don't have a whole lot, but there's some things that are sentimental to me. And I really want to make sure, in the event that something happens, I really want to make sure that there's some special people in my life, and I want to share these special things with them. Is it always money?
Yeah, exactly. And one of my goals in campaigning in 2014 and then being elected that year was to make sure that the court is accessible to everybody. We want to provide access to justice for all. And so one of my big initiatives has been to make sure that people know what to expect from the court before they ever come in. And so I try to spend a lot of my time in the court. I'm a presence in the office. I'm running a staff of about 35, and we're making sure that we're being efficient and we're working hard and we're moving paperwork through quickly. But I'm also out in the community because it is my job to listen to litigants and hear what their needs are from the court system. And so I'm actually excited to announce that in listening to people over the last 4 years, we've heard a need to get services up to northern Worcester County. So we're in the process. Next week, we're actually launching on June 27th, the first ever satellite registry in northern Worcester County. We're launching out of the Gardner District Court.
Oh,
and
cool.
luckily, Leominster and Fitchburg isn't too far behind. We're hoping to launch in September.
Nice.
A court service up in Fitchburg or Leominster area. We're working on our exact location, so stay tuned for more information on that. But we're hoping to bring our services up to northern county so that litigants can come in. You can meet with me directly. We'll help you with filling out paperwork, getting the paperwork you need, navigating the court system, doing all of your court filings through this satellite registry, and making sure that people's needs are met. I had also mentioned that we're really trying to make people prepared to come into court before they have to come in. And so one of our big initiatives is a guardianship clinic. We're focusing a lot on grandparents raising grandchildren.
Grandparents are raising those grandkids.
I'm sure you're seeing a huge need
And they're not sure, like, what do I have to do?
Exactly.
Well, you have some outreach to help them out.
Exactly. It's a difficult process, and we want to make sure that grandparents feel like their needs are being met. And so our clinic, launched out of the Gardner District Court, is going to have us sit down and meet with these grandparents and have them getting help with filling out the paperwork, and then also getting resources for different things that they can access in the community.
Right.
A diaper pantry, a food pantry.
All of a sudden, you find yourself raising grandkids. That wasn't part of the plan.
Exactly.
Right?
And you need a crib, and you need clothes, and you need it usually on short notice. And so we're trying to help these grandparents have access to these services through our clinic and hopefully provide them with the help that they need.
Let's give some phone numbers and other information that people can reach you, a website where websites today, especially government ones, are pretty good places to start. And most everything is on there. Sometimes there aren't, but it's just a good, spot to take a look at and go through the, pages and check things out and see what pertains to you. Or if you're looking for something, do a search on it and the information comes up. Another way to sort of prepare yourself, right?
Yes, exactly. And we're always posting on Facebook these days of social media, so you can find me at Stephanie Fattman on Facebook. We're always posting our updates and different information on what to expect from the court process. And then, of course, stephaniefattman.com. We're always posting updates there as well. We also have court forms and court services listed on that website.
That's great. And more efficiency in your office. You're taking advantage of technology.
Yes.
And self-service, but also to be able to, that frees you up to be able to give that individualized customer service to people.
Exactly. We've had an exciting last 4 years in the probate and family court. When I campaigned in 2014, I was determined to run a more efficient, more effective court. I believe that there were a lot of problems we could clean up, and I'm proud to say 4 years later, we are running a successful office. Our court filing times are down from about 2 to 3 weeks to about 24 hours, and we really focus on customer service. We focus on making sure that people come in, meet with us at our front counter, and are moved through the court process quickly and are being treated well. And so, as I mentioned, we have about 800,000 cases floating around our court at any given point, so it's quite a busy court. But we have utilized technology to help us with that. I'm the first register to launch e-filing services. We also have a court portal, a computer portal in our registry where all documents are scanned and available to the public at any time online. And so we're focusing on different court initiatives to make sure that cases are easily accessible for anybody that comes in.
Did I forget anything?
That's
a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot in 10 minutes.
Yes, it is.
But did I forget anything?
I think I would just ask you and the viewers to please stay tuned to everything we have coming on in northern Worcester County. We're hoping to launch, like I said, in September, and we're looking at doing a couple more community outreach initiatives. We actually are looking at launching an Autism Awareness Day in this community. I know that's very important to you. And so we've been working with the DA's office, hopefully to secure some funding, and with some other community leaders to provide sensory boxes to children in our community. Really, we're focused on just building strong families in Worcester County, and any way we can help do that is important to us. So please stay tuned to some of the different things that are coming in the near months.
Well, good to see you again, Stephanie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And take care. We'll be seeing a lot more of you out here.
Absolutely.
I suspect. And Yeah, I just, even myself, I knew some of the things that I've participated in at the, at the Registrar of Probate's office. But then there were things that you said, geez, we do this and we do that and we do this.
Yeah.
I imagine you want to get into some of the senior centers and talk about what you can do to sort of help them. And,
yeah.
And,
we have a Fattman Family Forum that we've launched in the senior centers. We try to provide some information for elder planning services. It's always important to get those documents in order before you come into court and make sure you have everything ready for your family. So we offer that presentation for anyone that might be interested in hosting it in senior centers or other community centers.
Well, I know you live all the way in the southern portion of Worcester. What town do you live in?
We're in Sutton. I was born and raised in Sutton.
That's right.
Yeah, so
it's a nice town.
It's beautiful.
Sutton.
We love it there. I'm there with my husband and my 2 babies. So, yes, we enjoy Sutton.
Sutton's a nice town.
It is.
Is that where that grocery store is there? It's on the left-hand side of 146. Is that Sutton?
Market 32?
Yeah.
Yes, that is Sutton. It's our new
Sutton?
grocery store. It's kind of pride and joy now because
and
it's nice to have a grocery store.
Starbucks and all that fancy
it's got a Starbucks
stuff over
now
there, right?
with our one stoplight. So it's a small town.
Is it the only one?
Yeah. But
it's a nice little town.
We enjoy it. It's quiet and we enjoy it.
All right, good to see you.
Thank you
care.
so much
we'll be
for
seeing
having
more
me.
of you.
Appreciate it.
We are taking a short break. We have so much knowledge now. Since 6:30 when we started the show, we learned a whole lot about what's going on in the arts world, the weather. Then we talked about Mike the hot dog man. Does anybody know where Mike used to store his dog? Do you know, Carl?
No, I don't.
See, people thought it just appeared. No, I know where. But I think most people, when I ask them, they're like, I never knew where he kept that. It appeared. I don't know whether I should tell people because it might take away from the magic.
Nobody ever saw him set up.
There is the magic. You see? Nobody can say they ever saw him up. But I remember. We're taking a short break here at Mike Hot Dog Land, and we'll be right back. I feel like eating a hot dog. I love looking at those pictures of the old days, I guess. Whether you're alive or not during those days, it's fun to look back. And probably 30 or 40 years from now, people will be looking back and they'll be talking about, whatever was sort of special to them. And that's why, part of the reason that we do all of these events here in the city. I remember when we first started doing them, there were a few others in the area that, the other towns and cities or groups that did them. And we just started to pile them on, and we realized very soon that not only did they bring community together, but for a lot of people, they created those memories. And there's no price you can put on that. To this day, we hear from adults now, maybe who've gone to college, moved away, work out of town, who say, I remember my first stroll, my winter stroll, and you gave us a chestnut, or I remember it blocked all the streets off and they had a train coming through, or the electric, the holiday Christmas parade and the lights downtown, whatever it might be. And so hopefully, like we reflect back on some of the things downtown or in the city, they're happy memories for you. Okay, let's see if we got photos of the week. Let's rock and roll. Let's get going. We got to catch up. We're 7:04 here. And our library welcomes 83 people per week. Did you know that? Look at that aerial shot. We didn't do that with a drone. our library welcomes 85 people per week. No, that's probably like 85 people per hour is what I would say. Yes, that's the statistic. And there's a Somerset 8th grade semi-formal. That was a big deal to those students. They got a chance to come into City Hall. We love having them there. And a special night, they get all dressed up. They're polite and kind. And they just had an absolute time of their life. There we are, welcoming the DAV to Leominster. We love having them there. There's another group of DAV members who, there's the Secretary of Veteran Services to the right for the state, and a number to his right is a representative from Washington, D.C. And, you know, before I leave the room, so many stories about how they love coming here to the city. It's clean, they feel safe, they love the restaurants, they just love being here. There's a special feel they get. And we hope you get that same feeling too. You know, it's sometimes, you know, you go to another town, you're like, wow, it's a pretty cool town. We have a pretty cool town. And this is a special day. This is Flag Day, Health Alliance flag ceremony. That's an 80-foot flagpole. It's a, let's see, I forget if it's a 12 by 18 Polymax flag that's embroidered stars, sewn stripes, beautiful. It just was a perfect day for raising a flag. And we had a wonderful time. And just when we finished, that cloud opened up with just a little bit of rain. Wasn't a big deal. But, you know, we've looked at that flagpole for so long, and finally it's got a flag on it. Great shots by Wendy Weeks. Look at that, huh? You couldn't. You just couldn't take better pictures. And it was just a perfect day to fly a flag. And I'll tell you, I know Bob Healy was a guest on the show. Bob was my 8th grade teacher. But I got to tell you, they put together a beautiful night. Their selection of music, with one song better than another. And it was really a special night. They were so good. We're just so lucky to have such talented people. And thank you to the Starburst Committee and Bob Healy, because, you know, they've done their time. They've been at this for 26 years now, 27 years. And, you know, it's not that they want to transition. It's not that they want to just give up on the whole thing. They want to help transition it into the hands of others. And so, you know, they're looking for volunteers. But if you were there, you know, Citizen of the Year, Ronnie Gerard, Bonnie Hathaway, you want to keep this tradition going, and it's absolutely no cost to anybody. There's no cost to park. There's no park to come in, and fireworks for everybody at the end of the night. It was a beautiful night, just a perfect night. So congratulations to them for putting on a wonderful night, and the recipients of the Citizen of the Year. But think about volunteering. That's the only way these things can happen. Packed crowd at Starburst. People brought their blankets and their picnic coolers, and families who were there. That's what it's all about. We want to keep this going, keep this tradition going. And talk about flying a flag. It was a beautiful night at Doyle Field to fly a flag. Another big flagpole with another huge flag on it. And it just was perfect. Another photo by Wendy Weeks. Look at that, huh? Does it say it all? It says it all. Fireworks, flag to the left, says it all. Great pride we have in the community. Look at that. Wendy, you should win an award for that one. I like that. That's our next holiday card. And we'll put Santa or some, you know, maybe a bit of the winter stroll in there. And there's our survey, site walk for our safe schools, safe routes to schools. And the state was coming out, and they're doing a walkthrough because we're going to get, drum roll please, about $1 million from MassDOT and the Safe Routes to School program. And they're going to be replacing sidewalks. We're hoping to get both sides on Viscaloid Ave. So this is pretty exciting. This is one of the biggest awards that have been given out. So we're excited. This is, you know, this is a neighborhood that lots of kids walk to school, but it's also a neighborhood where people walk, you know, for health-wise, for transportation, to get to and from. And work continues on Mary Mav. We had to, as I said before, we had to slow it all down when winter arrived early, but they picked it back up on Hall Street. They're heading up towards like Dartmouth area. And once everything settles, the ground settles, we'll be back out there to pave Merriam Ave. And we're on Lindell Ave replacing. That's a major water line that's getting a replacement. So, you know, there are some days they're detouring people, but it's done well, and they can get you in and around pretty quickly. Safer intersections. And, you know, Tommy Bissonette, the police department do a great job out there, but it's time to start remarking these streets. You know, we had so much rain, and they can't put the paint down in the rain, and they can't put it down when it's too cold. So there they are. They've hit those intersections where people seem to clog them up. And, yeah, good job. We were at a birthday party today. These ladies, May Epstein, who you might remember from Economy Paint, and Helen Purcell. May is 101 years old. Helen is 100 years old. And they are as spry and sharp as ever. Look at them, all color coordinated, their hair all done. It was fun. We were on Manor on the Hill, and we just had a great time. It's just so nice to be in their presence. Oops, let me go back. There we go. It's almost that time. We are going to have a special recognition this Sunday night for the most enthusiastic pink flamingoist. So, show up. You cannot wear enough pink. You cannot bring enough flamingo with you. So get your flamingo on. We will see you downtown, June 23rd, which is this coming Sunday, 5 to 7 o'clock p.m., and we'll have some fun. Weather's supposed to be great. You know, all those shirts, there's still a lot of things that are in the department stores that you can get, even locally, that are flamingo-oriented. So come on by, and we will see you there. We can't wait. It's almost that time. I know some people are really into flamingo, and they're really excited. So there we go. Lots going on. We have, if you want to know what's happening for Pink Flamingo Day goodie bags will be given to the first 100 attendees. This is generously supplied by Regional Home Health Care. And then we have vendors, Ariana's Artwork. We have Boys and Girls Clubs will be there. They have, I believe, T-shirts and other things that are silkscreen that they did themselves. Cindy's workshop, she has great things. I've purchased a lot of flamingo things from her, and made out of fabric, so you definitely want to see some of that. The Tragic Whale is also going to be there. Leominster Public Library is going to be doing selfie station with props, pink flamingo cutout photo ops, flamingo wood carving photo op, food and drink, double D concessions, music. We're going to have a fun night. But most importantly, it's the people who come. This is one of those events that just brings those special, colorful people, and you want to be part of that. And let me tell you, this is the group that you want to party with. Definitely. We had so much fun last year, so much more fun even this year. And the best part, I think, this year, it was nice to have it inside last year, but it's going to be really cool to have it outdoors. So stop by, right downtown, 5 to 7. We did our pictures of the week. We did a segment today with LTV at the Leominster Public Library. It's a really interesting display, and it's early Chinese migrants in Massachusetts with speakers. They've already had that piece of it, but the exhibit is the Chinese and the Iron Road building the Transcontinental. And the Chinese were extremely instrumental in that. Now, they have one more event coming up on this coming Wednesday, the 26th. It's Chinese Americans, the Chinese Exclusion Act, and the ongoing question of who gets to be an American with Speaker Dr. Benjamin Ralton. And what happened, I mean, part of what I think he's going to be talking about is when things turned bad economy-wise, it appeared that, Americans got upset because they thought the Chinese were taking their jobs away, when in fact, a lot of the Chinese were already living here. Anyway, it's just an interesting time in history to go back and look at this beautiful exhibit. It's on the second floor of the Leominster Public Library. So please, please, please stop by. If you haven't gotten your free tree, I mean free, and I mean tree, and I mean really nice tree. And all you have to do is call 617-626-1514. There's a map on our website. You can also, Yeah, there's you can find out exactly by calling that phone number, exactly if you're in the area, but we've expanded it a little bit this year, so it's best to check, or you can always call our office at 978-534-7500. Shoalin Farms, apples are looking good. We had great apple blossoms. They put out this beautiful little map about not only the species and the kinds and the varieties of trees, but also the trails that are there, wildlife observation, just a map of everything that's up at Shoalin Farms. But what I like is they tell you about all the different kinds of apples and when you can expect them to be in season. And I like it because there's a little explanation, and I love Shoalin Farms. And we need volunteers up there, as we always do. So give us a call or call Shoalin Farms. They have a phone number. They also have a website. It's shoalinfarms.com, I believe. I should know that, but I don't want to give you the wrong address here. Let's see. It is 978-847-3276, or you can go to shoalinfarms with an S.com. You can also go to Facebook and look up Shoalin Farms. They'll hook you up. If you don't get one of the copies of the Richard J. Gerard Leominster Senior Center newsletter, it's right here. It's got all kinds of good stuff. If you haven't been to the Senior Center, don't think you're like going to a place where there are a bunch of like old people. These are far from old people. These are active, fun people that know how to have a good time. And there's just so many things that you can do there. And we want to make sure you're part of that. Okay, do you have any questions? Call me, please. Don't be shy. 978-537-7760. You can email me those questions. I'll look to see if there are any, but you can look to see if there are any questions. And, you can email me at 978, Leominster, D. Mazzarella, at Leominster-ma.gov, or just call the phone number here. You don't need to speak on air if some people just get very anxious about it. Just call, leave the question with whoever answers the phone here, and they will relay that information to me, and then I will ask the question on air, and then I will answer it as well. Let's see. I will go to questions. So the question is about North Street. Something about, yes, I did talk about it last week. So just to not be confusing, so that we aren't confusing people, paving starts on Monday, June 24th. And so if you live in that area, finally, they pulverized the street, so there was all that sort of mixed up pavement, but people have been very patient. I think they know we're getting towards the end of the project, or the hottest part of the project, which is the pavement part, and off it goes. So starting June 21st, with the 4th, there'll be some interruptions. Sidewalks start on West Street, then to Merriam Ave, down to Mill Street near the mall, 4th Street. We have a list of things, but anyway, you'll begin to see some of these projects. We're going to double the size of street paving this year. I'm sorry, I was looking the other way. Is there a light that goes on, Carl? Never sure what camera to be looking at. But anyway, we have so many projects. We're going to be doubling the pavement projects this year. And we'll be doing a lot of the main streets, but we'll also be doing some secondary roads. And so that should help us to catch up on our roads. And I know people have been patient in waiting. Sidewalks, as I said, we're trying to really make this a walkable community by expanding our sidewalk program to almost every neighborhood in the city. That's our goal, with bike lanes and bike paths. And the bike path, I'll tell you, it's been a lot of work for a whole lot of people. And I'll tell you, we've got a great team at City Hall working on this. And I'll tell you, the folks at MassDOT have been great who work on this as well. But let me tell you, it's a lot of work. It's a huge, huge financial commitment to the area. And we're excited about it. But it's a full-time job for a whole lot of people that work for the city to answer all the questions and work back and forth on appraisals. So we thank that team. You know, many times I don't know that I always am articulate enough to explain just how involving and complicated some of these projects are. So, you know, we get so many grants. We have a great grant writer and a great team of people that go out and execute those grants later. But it's a lot of work. And it's weekends, it's nights. And they don't always, we sort of make it look easy, or we make it look like it's just sort of appears, but it doesn't. It's a whole lot of work for a whole lot of people. We have a great team, and we thank them because otherwise, they're on the city side. There are not a whole lot of new positions since we took over the city in 1994. There are some, a lot of were grant funded that we were able to turn into full time, but somehow, some way, I always have to go back to the department heads and ask them to do more with less. And we understand it. We understand we're under Prop 2.5. We stay within Prop 2.5. And we went 6 years without a tax increase, but we're under Prop 2.5. We stay within Prop 2.5. And yes, people will get their tax bill in December and say my taxes went up beyond 2.5. That's because of value. The value may have changed. Your value may have gone up. I'm seeing houses now selling for over $325,000 that are listed in the assessor's database. In fact, if you look at the listing, it will tell you what the house is listed, what it is assessed for. So I'm looking at assessments for $264,000, $275,000, $280,000. These houses are listed and selling for well over $300,000. So that's a good thing if you're selling. If you're getting your tax bill, you might not get excited about that. But, Leominster has very affordable houses. It has a very affordable tax base. Take the game. Here's your house. You live on such and such street. Here's your house. Pick it up and move it to Westminster, see what your tax bill is. Move it to Sterling, move it to Harvard, move it to wherever it is you want to move it. A house of equal size, equal lot size, built in the same amount of time, and move that around, you'll find we are extremely affordable. That's why people are driving from the east, and they are driving until they can qualify for the mortgage. And they can't afford to live in Concords or the Bostons or the Arlingtons or even the Actons and the Maynards now, and they're driving west till they can qualify. So we drive till we qualify. Where are they moving in? Where are they buying property? Right here in Leominster. And the reason why, for a whole lot of things, the people who live here, the school system. I said at graduation, we've really got to begin to pump up the status and the quality of our school system. We don't just have a good school system. I don't know why we're not spending more time. We are on a campaign. We don't just have a good school system with good teachers. We have a great school system with great teachers and great parents who help out in the schools, great aides and great staff. We've got to tell this to people. I ran into somebody recently, and I think I had a little bit of a conversation. This is another conversation, a couple times I've shared, and said that they moved from the area. They moved their children to another area, and I said, well, why'd you do that? We have great schools, and there's so much to do. And the parents had said, there is a lot to do in Leominster. We love it here. But, there was a cut of 200 teachers in the school system. And I said, that's the part that's not fair, is we all forget the political part. We cannot scare people, especially with incorrect facts, and scare them into packing up and moving and leaving from the city because of misinformation. Now, we didn't lay off 200 teachers. And looking back at the information that was reported from the school system to the state Department of Education, that particular year alone, we were $2 million over our net school spending in the very year that these people moved out of the city because they thought we had cut 200 teachers. I was at a school committee meeting the other day when a school committee member asked me, let's talk about the cuts. And I thought, the cuts? What cuts? We're hiring 13 new staff members at the school department. So it's the misinformation we've really got to get. Now, I feel bad because, and I'm not blaming any or this person from the school committee, but there is so much, there's information out there that people use. I don't know why they choose this option. I don't know why. Maybe it's political. Maybe they don't like me. Maybe they don't want, maybe this is an avenue to sort of get to me politically. But I think to myself, I look around and I've been at a couple of other meetings with other elected officials across the state who represent municipalities. And I listen to what's going on in their cities and towns. And I think to myself, we are blessed. We are so fortunate to what we have here. We've got to promote it a lot more. We've got to let people know even the people that are here, elected officials, we've got to let them know the good things that are happening. And again, I'll say this. I've been involved with I have a grandson in the school system. My kids went to, we did, my mother went to we're talking a long-standing tradition of our family and your families being here in the city. And if you're not, you're starting new traditions by moving here. But do not listen to this notion that the city doesn't help to fund education and we don't take education seriously. There's always money being appropriated, and maybe we ought to make a bigger deal of it. In fact, a lot of the appropriations, as I look on the agenda for the school committee, aren't even on there. So, maybe we need to do a better job of sort of promoting what we do to help education. Or how about safety in the schools? How about simple things like, you might not know it, but it's probably close to $500,000, $750,000 that we'll appropriate to help with building a new phone system. Do you know that we built a entire new communication system, not only for the city, but the school system as well, that our police department is constantly in the schools working with them on safety, fire department, other code enforcement. So, we don't have just a good school system or good teachers and good staff. We have a great system. We've got to do a better job of promoting it. Last thing I'll say, because we'll get run out of here pretty soon, is the high school. We'll start school by school, and we'll put a little pop-up group together, and they need a little bit of work on the exterior, on the landscaping mostly, to just get these buildings ready, to show the pride that goes on in our city and in our schools. And curb appeal is important. And so we're getting a group together. If you'd like to participate, call me. We'll be going to the high school first, and then we'll be doing the other schools, hopefully make it to all of them. And we'll be doing a little sprucing up and maybe a little plantings and getting it ready for, the opening of the new school year. So a lot going on here in the city, and there were no shortage of events that are happening in the city, and we think those are important. We've been criticized for actually having too many events in the city. And can't we do them at the mall, or can't we do them at somewhere else? And I think we're pretty successful at what we do. I hope you think so as well. But if you're not, you have anything to add, you can call, you can social media us, email us, stop in. We're always happy to hear from you. We are just about out of time because I can hear the click of the door, and Carl is on his way out. I will take my last drink of water.
So a couple guesses on Mike the Hot Dog's cart.
Okay. Columbia Hotel was not the correct location.
Remember Danino's
The
building there?
proper guess is correct. So whoever guessed that it came from the Danino building at 59, I think it's 59 Merriam Ave, is correct.
Wow.
There was a garage. What do you call it?
Side there.
Garage? What do you call it? Garage? Barn. There was a barn there. It's now, I think, finished space. And a coach house, kind of. And that is where Mike the hot dog man used to store. So imagine who knew that?
Actually, Jack guessed.
Jack guessed it.
Yeah.
And he would roll it out, but it would see very few people. He would go through like the parking lots in the back of the police station, et cetera, and it would be a little later in the day. And then all of a sudden, he would appear. Mike the hot dog would just appear.
Kathy Gates was the blonde girl he was kissing.
Kathy Gates. Amazing.
I don't know where she is today.
Kathy, where are you? Does anybody know where? This is important information we need to find out about. Hey, we're out of time. Thank you, everybody here at LTV coming in here every Thursday night, regardless of the weather. We're out of time. Good night. God bless you. Remember, the world is run by those who show up. You got to show up. Good night.
Inside Leominster is brought to you through the generous support of Colonial Insulation Company, residential and commercial insulation and fireproofing services, specializing in blown-in cellulose as well as spray foam insulation. For more information, visit their website, colonialinsulation.com.